All right, folks. One of, if not my favorite streaming show right now, Luke Cage Season 2 is out. And here, appropriately dressed, yours truly, and Theo Rossi, shades.
And these are borrowed shades.
Borrowed shades.
From our makeup girl, D.
Thank you, D.
And apparently they're Pradas.
That's right. She made that clear.
Woo.
She made that
very clear.
How are you, my brother?
I'm great.
Good to see you.
Such a pleasure.
You're supposed to have your shades on all the time, man. You're supposed
You know
to be
what?
in character.
Outside of work, I try to leave these off. Because, not these. These are pretty hype. But,
yeah. She might not get those back, huh?
She might not.
And I offered to wear. I offered to trade with you.
No. The second I saw them come off, I was like, oh, I'm going to wear those. I just like... I can't wear them anymore because, see, I made the mistake. We didn't know how big the show was. So the first season when they were like, what glasses do you want to wear? I was like, well, I happen to wear Ray-Ban Wayfarers that I really, because I knew they fit my face.
Right.
I knew they fit my face. And the mistake was now every time I wear them when I'm outside, everybody goes, oh, you're.
Right. Okay. So you can't even, right.
Your shades.
So that's funny because normally it's the other way around. You wear shades to be
hide out.
incognito, but now you wear them and it's a wrap.
Right away. They're like, oh, you're.
Where do you spend most of your time? Where do you live most of the time? Because you're from here.
I'm from here.
Right.
I just recently have moved my family to Austin, Texas.
Interesting.
Yep. It was
where Austin?
So I grew up in Brooklyn, Staten Island, mainly Staten Island, and then I went up to college at Albany, and then I moved to LA for 15 years when I was doing my old show, a couple of shows before, and then Sons of Anarchy.
Sons of Anarchy,
yeah,
right.
and then when Sandy hit, I decided that my production company's first movie was going to be here because we had started we were rebuilding homes out here for Sandy, and I had just gotten taken by like everything that was going on in New York, so we came back to the city, and then we decided it was a little too cold, so now we moved to Austin.
Austin's not too hot though. You went through cattle from one
I'm
extreme
good.
to the other.
You
like the heat? You like that?
I've been here. I've been back 4 years. In the last 4 winters have been. There's no more spring or fall in New York City. We lost them.
It's barely a summer.
It's barely a summer.
I moved here years ago, and this is the latest from Washington, D.C., which is always hot and humid too.
Yeah.
But it's like this summer has not really even gotten kicked up either. We might get a month. We might get 6 weeks of summer.
But it's different in Austin. I mean, because I'm going to tell you why. Austin is like, so you'll get like 68, 70% humidity here at the same temperature.
Right.
But there you'll get like 34% humidity.
You don't get as much humidity.
But it'll be 103.
Okay. Well, I can deal with that without the humidity.
But it's cool because there's no humidity.
Okay.
So I'm digging it. Oh yeah, I'm good. 2.5 hours to here, 2.5 hours to LA. I could kind of do what I got to do, and I'm gonna be here 6 months a year anyway, filming.
So how is it, man? You enjoying this?
I love it. I think it's.
Really?
I think that I'm very fortunate, as in, coming off a show like Sons that was so like world renowned and such a huge like audience, and I really didn't have the ambition to jump right into another TV show because I was doing a couple of movies right after, and I was like, oh, let's work with this for a little. But Cheo, the showrunner, had written a film that I did, Lowriders, and my buddy Charles Murray, who was the executive producer writer on Sons, was involved with the show. And I had just, and still to this day, and I tell people this all the time, there's nothing like it on television.
No.
Because, and people are like, oh, yeah, it's Marvel, Netflix. I'm like, no. You got to understand why we're even separate from all that. Is there's no show that has this kind of music, this live act. It's not just hip hop, it's everything, right? It's all this different kind of music. I mean, we had the Delphonics on last year. It's like, you know what I mean?
That's right.
We have
they
music.
actually performed, didn't they? I remember.
It was one of my favorite episodes, and it's like you have.
Even though I'm too young to know who the Delphonics
exactly
are.
So you're
are
more
too, right?
like way too young. I don't even. I've never listened to a word they sang. I just like who they are as people. But it's like Sharon Jones and and Esperanza and now like Stephen Marley and KRS-One and Rakim. So there's nobody doing that. So that's number one. Culture, history of Harlem. There's a lot of people that, oh yeah, I know Harlem. They think it's they literally think Harlem's a borough. They don't even realize that it's just Upper Manhattan, like what it is and the history that comes from there, both politically, culturally, artistically. So we get to explore that. There's so many things that. And then also you have these seasoned vets on the show and these actors, multiple villains, a hero that's only, this incredible hero that is a reluctant hero. You have a bulletproof black man as the hero in today's world, which speaks for itself. And then you have these layers in these villains that you're going and telling their entire backstory and going deep into them, which I got to tell you that nobody really does anymore. They have a villain for a season and then they're gone. And we get to know these people and live with them. And maybe in some ways we blur the lines a little of villain and hero. So you don't know who's who.
True. That's
so
true.
I just think there's nothing like it on television. I'm very fortunate.
And that is the best part about it, when you blur the lines a little bit. That makes it a little more interesting, a little less predictable. Even the hero, as you say, reluctant, not only, but very, very human in that regard.
That's right.
Because I think through all the Marvel Defenders characters, you have this constant struggle about, am I always a good guy or sometimes a bad guy? Now, your character, Shades, real cool. You're in the villain category, but like you say, it's tough because honestly, in the first season, you were kind of trying to help folk out and keep them from making their situation worse.
And nobody listened, and that's why they're all gone.
Nobody listened. You kind of reminded me, I guess the best analogy I can draw, you were kind of the Tom Hagen to the Godfather.
I'll take that.
You take that? Okay.
Yeah.
I think that's what you were. But nobody, so first of all, people going to listen to you in season 2?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they listen. Not well, but they listen. They listen a lot more because he wields a lot more power.
Right.
And in wielding that power, you start to find out more about him. And now, again, another reason why I just think that our show is so incredible and original is that in this season, we also get to explore who he was, his past, why he's there, where he comes from, his past relationships. And, we're doing something also for the first time ever, in the history of the Marvel Universe, where we're exploring, different relationships of who he had relationships with in his past, who he has relationships with now. And I think that that's so rich and makes him such a, 4-dimensional, 3-dimensional character where we get to learn more about him. So do people listen? He starts to kind of really get conflicted because, again, the villainy, there's rules to it. So Tom Hagen's a really great example because Tom Hagen is the concierge of a mob family who does heinous things. Right. But we love him and love them because there is rules to their game. Right. And when we start breaking the rules, even in the gangster game, things start to go awry, and we start to explore that this year. Yeah. So there's even honor in villainy. For sure. Yeah. There's a rule of the streets, a code of the streets. It's supposed to be. Now I remember the famous scene when Tom told Michael, you don't have to kill everybody, Michael. That's right. He said, no, I know, just my enemies. Right. It's a great line, by the way. So, well, congratulations. Thank you. On this, man. Do you binge, or do you like to spread it out one day, 1 week at a time? Because sometimes I like to just spread. When I binge, then I go into an immediate withdrawal, and I don't think I can wait another year. It's a little hectic, right? My last show was a weekly one, right? This is pre kind of binge. When at the end of our few seasons, people were getting into like the binge culture. Right. But what I kind of found with my last show was we didn't have this huge pop until the show went on Netflix, the first 3 seasons. So by the time season 4 aired, people had watched all 3 seasons, and now they were here for season 4. Gotcha. Okay. Right. Okay. So the way it is now with me, it's like, I binged this season? When I got it a couple of weeks back. Okay. I watched all 13, and I did it in I was knocking out 2 a night. Gotcha. After the kids went to bed, we'd do 2, and if oh man, we really got to get up, but just do 1 more. We'll fall asleep to it, and then you're on 3. But then it's over. And it takes so long for it to come back, where with the old days, the old shows, whether it be The Wire, The Sopranos, Oz, whatever it was, you would watch them And then when it ended, you knew 6 months later or a couple of months later. So by the time you talks about it, you had that water cooler talks, you digested it, it was coming back. Now it's like people might not see your show for a year and a half if it comes back. And it's like you almost forget about it. Yeah. So I binge on certain shows, you know, again, having a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old son, 2 sons. It's the only binging I'm doing is like Curious George and Doc McStuffins and all.
Do they watch you though? Do they ever see you on Luke Cage?
They do. He gets it. My 3-year-old totally gets it because I'm forcing like Marvel comics and action figures and everything down his throat. Good. So he's getting it.
Okay. Yeah. You an athlete too.
I do. I did run marathons and do some stuff.
But I mean, when you were in school, did I really play football?
Yeah.
What position did you play?
I played fullback until we went to a run and shoot, and then I played outside linebacker, strong safety.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah.
So your sons, would you rather them follow the athletic career or the acting career? Or you gonna let them just decide what they want to do?
I want them to do whatever they want to do as long as they're happy. You know, I just want them to be kids for as long as possible because I think that people are growing up so quick because of what they're exposed to. So I just want them to be children, like, and just enjoy being a kid for a little while. And if that includes sports or acting or theater or whatever it is, I just want them to be kids.
When and how did you get the bug? I mean, you an athlete, you know a lot of other things. When did you get the bug? Hey, I'm going to go into this business.
I never got the bug. It was all kind of by mistake.
Really?
Yeah, I never got it. And somehow I've been doing this 18 years. And meaning that, like, once I knew that I was going to do it, the bug, like, engulfed me and ate me like an alien movie. But before that, it was one of those things that I got, like, sideswiped. And I make decisions fast on anything in life. But it was one of those things where I was like, a friend was in acting class and I went and I saw some things that were happening and there were a lot of girls there and it was like one of those things and there was it was all like kind of like one of these things. And then next thing I know, I had been cast in some film that never got finished. It was like some industrial, school student kind of thing. And while I was doing it, and I really had no training or whatever, but while I was doing it, I was like, wow, I wonder if I can do this. And then once I made that decision, I engulfed myself in the history of Hollywood.
Wow.
Every actor, read every book, moved to LA, and then started as an extra. I had to do 3 extra jobs to get a SAG card, and then I had 1 word in an independent film, and then 1 line on a TV show, and then 2 episodes of a television show. So I literally climbed the ladder.
That's great. And
there was no. What happened for me with Sons of Anarchy in 2009, I had been a journeyman actor. I had done 52 professional jobs or something like that, or 40-something jobs, and nobody knew anything I'd ever done unless I told them. I was like, no, I was on Grey's Anatomy and I played that guy, and they were like, oh yeah, I knew that. But then Sons was like the whole game.
It blew up. It blew up everything. That's great. This Luke Cage. It's probably one of the most diverse casts in the history of television, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot going down right now. We got so many shows right now that are out there that are really kind of hitting. And I always say this, Cage is important because it's in the Marvel universe. So it's literally like every age is watching it.
That's true.
Where maybe like certain shows like The Wire, you're not going to have like 10-year-olds watching it because, it was a little more of mature content.
Yeah.
This is cool because you got the comic book aspect of it. You got the cartoon aspect of it. So the fact that Cage is in the forefront from being a 1972 comic, this 1972 blaxploitation comic is now in our realm of like pop culture, is pretty amazing. And I've been saying this for as long as I can remember, and maybe it's because I grew up here, and maybe it's because whatever, I do know a thing or two about Hollywood. I feel like the best our entertainment is, meaning that radio, art, films, television, the best it ever is when it represents the people who are watching it. And whether we know it or not, we live in an extremely colorful world. Luke Cage is on in 190 countries. And we live in a very colorful, beautiful, diverse world. So the best we can do as humans is show everyone, have something for everyone.
Yeah.
Because, and let especially the youth see themselves in a position of a superhero.
Mm-hmm.
That's why Black Panther is so important.
Right,
That's why,
right.
you know, Miles Morales in the comic playing, you know, Spider-Man now is so important. That's why, because that's the direct way to the youth. But then just in general, to see people you admire in positions. Now we're set up, we're in a celebrity culture. So celebrities, athletes, artists are admired by people in our world.
Mm-hmm.
So the best thing we can do is represent them in all different ways. And that's why I love our show so much. And that's why I just love in general what's going on in entertainment.
You're sort of a triple threat: acting, writing, directing, because you've done your own film.
Mm-hmm.
Any more of that in the future? Writing,
Yeah,
directing?
you know, I'm crazy. I love our first film, our production company's first film that we did, got into Tribeca, and
Right.
you know, and we premiered there, and it was an amazing experience, and it was a story that I really wanted to tell about, you know, this interracial love story, these two young kids who were developmentally disabled, and in this family in 1999, kind of before the madness of everything that had gone on in New York City and all the stuff with like how cell phones have taken over our life. I really wanted to explore like hurt and pain and real life and go behind the door of a family. And those are the stories that I'm really interested in telling. The problem is that those stories are not necessarily what audiences are loving right now. And I think that it's cyclical. I think we will eventually go back to stories. And on television, we're kind of doing that a little more. So what I did is, you know, I pivot. I own a water company as well. I own, we have multiple different organizations and charities that we work with. And we have a race series, you know, we have a lifestyle brand. So we're always doing something. Right now, I'm in process of looking for the right material of a film that we want to do, but I got a couple more that I'm producing that are coming out.
That's great.
Yeah.
If you could portray an historical figure,
that's a great question.
Who do you see yourself portraying? Who do you see yourself as?
You know, I think I've always been intrigued by, I've been intrigued by a lot of things. I mean, there's so much going on. And right now, obviously, we're in a politically charged society with everything that's going on. So I've always been, you know, intrigued by history in general. But because of my business that I'm in, I've also been very intrigued by the sub-stories of people who were kind of defying the odds or doing things different. I don't know necessarily if I would play it, you know, because there's so many stories that I'd like to tell about people, even in Hollywood in general, who were succeeding at a high level when they weren't, when their backs was completely against the wall. You know, they're doing a movie right now on Hattie McDaniel, you know what I mean?
Right,
and like
right.
there's stuff like that. I just think how amazing it is that there's people in Hollywood and in sports and in anything that were doing things when everybody was telling them no or making it so hard, and not just doing it, but excelling at it.
Yeah.
So I think that we see that in a lot of ways, whether that be the art world with Basquiat and, you know, and things like that. There were people that were just kind of coming out of nowhere when the rest of the world was telling them no. So for me, you know, I'm super fortunate. You know, I've been exploring, you know, the Syrian side of my ethnicity and a lot of stuff that's gone down in Damascus and a lot of stuff that goes on over there that a lot of people just do not want to talk about. So there's a lot of great stories there. There's a lot of great documentaries about it right now that we're looking at. And, you know, there's just, and especially New York City in general. So I don't know right now. I got so many on my brain to play somebody exact and perfect. I don't know. It changes every week. Yeah. Right now I'm looking at this, and I won't say what it is, but right now there's like something in professional wrestling, as crazy as it sounds, but before it became like the corporatized professional wrestling, back when it used to be in the divisions of like East, West, South, North, you know, whatever, and how those guys were like carnies, you know, how they would literally like, it was like a carnival, and they'd go from like town to town and wrestle in these things, and like how diverse and crazy and gritty it was in that life. And I'm looking at that kind of stuff and all these weird stories of that. So there's a lot of different things I'm looking at.
Clearly very talented. You could pretty much do anything you wanted to do. I'm clear on that. Any role models or inspiration? You feel any people that you've like looked at and inspired you and maybe even modeled yourself after?
So
I see a little bit of Pacino.
Oh, thanks, man. He's it's so funny. I just did a movie, and somebody just wrote me that today. That's weird, because they're looking at the edit of it. Yeah, of course, obviously, Al. is so incredibly versatile. He's also played, I think it's weird that we forget that he's like this true living legend of like acting because like he's done roles that are like, I mean, when you can go like 3 for 6. He was like 10 for 10. Like he was knocking them out, right?
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
People who have influenced me directly, who I've worked with, is someone like Jimmy Smith. I was just talking about him.
Okay.
Alfred Woodard, who I work with currently.
Sure.
People who have been in this game 30, 40 years, you know, who just have an understanding of it because it's a complicated game. So how they handle themselves, not just as an artist, but as like a parent, a wife or a husband, as an activist, as whatever, like that. So people like that, I've been very fortunate to work with a lot of them.
Mm-hmm.
Actors back in the day, like who influenced me in art sense, or like an Anthony Quinn or you know, Cary Grant, or, you know, still to this day, people like who are top level at the game but are separated from it, as in you don't see them unless they're in it. People like Denzel Washington and Leonardo DiCaprio who just get busy when they do it and then they're out.
Right.
They don't need to be like in every commercial or all over social media, all that. To me, I admire that so much. So those are people like that. But then just in life in general, oh man, I have thousands of people that, you know, from motivational speakers like, you know, Zig Ziglar and people from back in the day to present day people. You know, I mean, my buddy owns a company, Roots of Fight, so I'm constantly entrenched in like the history of Ali, and he's really close with the Ali family. And I think that a lot of people, we talk about the greatest, but you don't realize that in today's world, if Muhammad was doing what he did, how literally someone who changed the world. So I'm always studying him, and kind of like even down to like the most minute things of him at the end of his life and things he was saying and just the way he was. So I think that I'm influenced by anybody who's disrupting the system. I think to disrupt the system in today's world and in any time in history is extremely important. I mean that as an actor, as an activist, and as a human being. If you just say, I don't agree with this, and I'm going to risk whatever it is because I don't agree with this, and you're going to do whatever it is and risk life, jail, this, that, all that. So those are the people that influence me absolutely the most. I'm completely in awe of people like that, and I can only strive to be anything minutely like it.
Theo Rossi with us, folks. Well, since you brought that up and you mentioned your Syrian lineage, you have any thoughts about what's going on with immigration right now?
Yeah, of course.
The travel ban, the separation of families.
Yeah, I mean, listen, my thoughts are very simple on it is what is this country based on? The people who've come here. This is a land of immigrants. There is no blueprint to this country. This is a first-time experiment. No country has ever done what we've done here. So I don't understand this whole, this is our land thing. If anybody, we would have to all leave right now and give it back to the Native Americans.
Right.
Okay, so this is their land. We're all here as guests.
Yeah.
So that means that anybody who comes here for a better life, give me your weak, rich, poor, this is what we're supposed to do here. Mm-hmm. That's what this is. That's what this country represents. So what's going on right now is an atrocity. You have to figure out how to make it work, and you have to figure out a way to do it with some kind of demeanor and with class and like making it in a right way. But this barbaric sense of the way things are going, nobody wins like that.
No.
It's terrible. So for me, as a third generation immigrant of multiple different backgrounds, that's my life. So I don't understand. I wouldn't be here if people didn't try to come for a better life. And I think that you have to understand that's why people are risking life and limb when they come here. Yeah. Why they're risking detainment, why they're risking being separated from their children, because they know about it. Mm-hmm. We have the internet. You know what I mean? If they're risking all this because they want a better life. So who are we not to give it to them? Yeah.
Theo Rossi with us, folks. Lastly, so Punisher has spun off from Daredevil.
Mm-hmm.
Will Shades spin off from Luke Cage?
I don't know if Shades is he's shown a lot of his cards. That would be they would have to do a lot of flashbacks after people see season 2. There is a lot that goes down in his backstory. So I don't know. In the comic, he's got some interesting stuff that comes up.
Yeah.
With his that they get more deep into. No, I think we should very, very, very rarely do villains have, even though they are doing a Joker movie right now. You never know. I leave it up to the powers that be.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, folks, all of us should be checking out Luke Cage season 2. Great success with our brother here, Theo Rossi. He plays Shades. Check it out. We're all enjoying it. Thank you, man, for coming in to Sirius XM.
Such a pleasure.
Pleasure to see you,
It really
man.
was.
All right,
Great talking to you.
All right, thanks.